Hey guys, thank you for tuning into Tough Luck with Desanti. This is my new podcast, and we're doing virtual podcast sessioning right now. This is my first time trying this out, but it will probably be what I do very often now in the future, since we're kind of trapped inside for the next until further notice. I feel like I'm catching up on everything that I hadn't been able to work on in the past months. We had over 40 interviews that weren't edited. If you guys didn't know, I have left the Yacht Club podcast. This is my new one now, which I will be posting a lot of content that we had recorded on that one, on this one. And so this break, which is unfortunate, but also I'm getting the chance to catch up on everything, which is good. What are you doing during the break? But you're still working, though. This is Ursh from TheFlexCoach Podcast.
Thank you for having me on your new podcast.
You can kind of tell the people that aren't used to having something to do in their free time are kind of just like watching TV or watching shows, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
although there is something wrong with tagging people in challenges because you're bored.
How many of those have you gotten?
0, and I like it. I've gotten none. My friends know not to tag me in dumb shit like that. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put it up on my story and have like 50 people, you know.
There was one going around that was like, tag 10 pretty girls and pass it on. And they're my friends, so I didn't want to be rude and ignore it. And I didn't want to be rude and be like, I'm not doing this shit. So I just reposted it, and I didn't do it. I didn't pass it on, but I didn't completely ignore it. You know what I mean? So it was kind of
you did it on your own terms.
Yeah, I didn't continue it.
Right. Well, which is good. You're not facilitating it. No, I'm kidding, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with things like that, obviously. And again, another interesting thing to get into is, I was actually thinking about this, and I'm sure you can relate. I feel like your way of operating or thinking, or the kind of stances you take on certain things, start to have more power or weight. Like, the weight increases after a while. People that shift the culture. And I'm not talking that kind of macro. I'm talking more micro. Like, everyone has a circle of influence.
Yeah. Within their reach. Yeah, for sure.
Whether you're a public person or whatever. Like, I hate even using terms like that, but whether you have a platform or you don't, everyone has a circle of influence. There's people, there's friends, colleagues, people you work with that look up to you and take elements from you. And so that's why, I don't know, what do you think about that? You think you should cater to, what the norm is in that regard, or you should be yourself and have those polarizing opinions?
So with this whole thing going on, at first I was, first of all, I was really disappointed in like humanity's way of coping, because I'm a minimalist, so I'm like really against the whole idea of consumerism and panic buying, and I'm already using a lot of reusable things. So for people to panic buy all of these consumables and just go out and act on that as a coping mechanism really disappointed me, and I just wasn't speaking about it on social media. Also, I'm all for natural remedies, and I wasn't speaking about that either because I was disappointed. I think I was just sad overall in humans, even though it's unavoidable. But I was like, I need to use my voice, and because people are looking up to me at this point, I had a lot of people messaging me like, what should I do right now for my immune system, or what is like some natural remedy for antiviral? And so then I started posting about it some more, and also people kept asking me to hang out, and I was like, guys, I'm not leaving my house. And I think whenever people saw that I was rejecting collaboration opportunities, they were like, okay, maybe this is serious. Like, if Desanti's not using this time to collab, maybe we should also stay inside.
That's exactly right. And, not to minimize anything, but in the micro or macro perspective, whatever your circle of influence is, you should treat it with responsibility. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 5 people or 100 people or a million people. You should still have the same values.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize how that you do have a voice no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you saw the Vanessa Hudgens scandal.
Mm-mm.
Well, it wasn't a scandal, but she went on Instagram Live and she was like saying how, if you get sick, like, it's just gonna blow over, like, it's just a virus, it's not gonna kill everyone. And everyone on Twitter was on her ass, like, pissed and dragging her because it was just a really insensitive and ignorant thing for her to say.
What did she say? She said it's not a big deal?
Yeah. I think the way, like, regardless of her opinion or not, there was definitely a more respectful way to say that. And because she does have such a huge voice, like, whether the severity of it is, like, whatever the severity is, I feel like her knowing that she has millions of people watching, she should be a little more careful with her words.
I definitely agree, but I also think at the end of it, we're all human beings, right? And we have these tendencies or urges, impulsive urges, where you want to say what comes to mind. You can't really stay in that quote-unquote character 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. Like, I don't know, sometimes people expect you to play a role or play a part. And if you reject that, or if you say what comes to mind, just be unapologetically yourself, you gain respect, and you gain respect as well as hate and disrespect. So you polarize people, and that's the problem with authenticity in a way. It's polarizing compared to conforming and being mainstream and being a washed down, I'm friends with everyone likes me version.
Yeah.
And I say things that make everyone feel happy. Like, no, that's not reality. That's not real life.
It's not. I think just there was a lot of backlash for her, and I do agree with being authentic. And then I think her being that authentic self that caused the backlash, then she kind of regretted it. Because I don't think she really meant it in a form to be ignorant.
And that's and that's all that it should take for people to have some sort of empathy or compassion. That the intention wasn't right. Maybe the delivery was incorrect. This is something I've dealt with for so long in my life.
That's what it was.
I've dealt with this for so long that I genuinely feel for people who are misunderstood, or who, maybe their exterior is not a direct representation of their interior. You know what I mean? Like, coming off a certain way versus being a certain way. Yeah. So I can definitely relate and have some empathy for that.
Yeah. I don't think my vlogs are funny after I watch them a couple times. And my friend was like, it's okay, some people aren't going to think that they're funny, but some people are, and you're going to gain your audience the more that you put stuff out, because there is an audience for everything.
You can't have 100% win rate in life. It's just not possible. 100% win rate, 100% please rate. I mean, think about it in terms of the business context, right? And I was having this conversation with, I'm forgetting who it was, but even if you get 1 out of 10 in a business setting, meaning you get 1 win out of 10 attempts, you win. You won. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The other 9 were lessons. So you're never going to please everyone, and in any context, getting 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 or whatever it may be is always valuable.
Let's talk about your recent cross between now your hobby intertwining with your business, and talk about how what was that sentence you said? You have your 9 to 5 to fuel your
6 to 12.
Yeah.
I'll provide a little bit of a backstory. And we were talking about this, I guess, before we started recording, but I got approached by the company that I work for. So I work in business development. I got approached by the director of business development because he listened to my podcast. He saw what I was doing, the kind of connections I was making, the people I was meeting. And he reached out and he said, we would love for you to do that for our company. And this is the same place. I remember sitting at my desk and putting an Instagram story of, at my 9 to 5 to fund the 6 to 12. And now my 9 to 5 and 6 to 12 are about to merge. Possibly. Again, I don't want to get into details of, what the potential deal could look like. And I'm not even trying to sound cool or anything. Like, I don't know. We still have yet to have that conversation with the executive team and send them a proposal and everything. Because obviously, it has to align with the company's vision. It can't just be me getting full control while using their name. So, but it's fascinating, yeah.
It is. No, it's just the fact that he even recognized now you have the skill that you're going to bring to the table that can benefit the company. That's just like that in itself is really exciting for anybody. And I think now even not only the podcasting, but the social media for you is also a skill that companies are starting to recognize. And more, like everyone, I've noticed with social media and digital marketing, it's whenever I have people approach me wanting me to do that service for them, it's people in person, not people online that want that service. And I've had a lot of digital marketing companies DM me saying like, hey, do you need digital marketing services? But they don't understand that the market is not online. The market is out there in real life. That's who their clients should be.
That's actually very true, but I think, not to minimize or disparage against anyone's efforts, but it's so easy, isn't it, to just sit, make an Instagram account, start an agency, DM people, and then see who bites, see if you can get some sort of business, versus putting yourself in those rooms where you can't be otherwise, right? The real estate on the internet is free. You could DM anyone, but you can't get inside a room where you're talking to executives that could give you a $100,000 deal. You know what I mean? So that's the easy route, and anyone can do that, and that's why a lot of people do that. But, and again, not minimizing against their efforts, because I've met a few people that do a similar thing, and they're doing very well. I mean, there's early 20s, 7-figure marketing agency. So there's obviously an upside to it, and I guess that comes with how good you are.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the in-person sales also, because if it was like me and you, that shit is extremely easy. Anybody could do it. But to some people, like middle, higher aged business owners whose business is declining because they're not on social media and have no idea how to even do Facebook ads. Like, I've had people that want to pay for that service because they have no idea how easy it is, because they've never they just don't feel familiar enough to like create a Facebook page for people. So the people that are familiar with the internet, it's like, why are people getting paid for this? Because anybody could go and pay for Facebook ads. But the people, like business owners that aren't familiar with the internet, it's like that. It's like, how do you even, so they're willing to pay for that service. So there's the gap is closing, but
definitely
that's why to us it's like, what the hell, who would pay? Like building a website. Wix has the easiest templates ever. # but I still have an ad. But people, not sponsored, but people are like, oh, I would pay you $100, $200 to make me a website. And I'm like, dude, it's only because you don't feel familiar enough to go try it yourself. It's actually really really easy.
I briefly recorded, I don't think I published this episode about vanity and, how our happiness literally comes from pixels on a screen. Like dopamine is generated in your brain, or serotonin. Please forgive me. Psychology was a long time ago. But dopamine or serotonin is generated in your brain from the actions of other people that you're viewing on pixels. This is a micro evolutionary adaptation. This isn't something that we, human beings have possessed. You know what I mean? Like, this just happened.
Yeah. It's dopamine, though it's the reward mechanism. So whenever you scroll on Instagram or scroll on Twitter, refresh a page, you're expecting a reward from that action. So now your brain is trained into this loop of action versus reward, and then you're like expecting that hit of dopamine whenever you see something that's like funny or pretty or just something new.
But even likes, getting likes or getting comments that then essentially make you feel more confident about yourself. And this is, I'm not shitting on anyone, obviously. We all feel this. I feel this too. I get happy when I see a lot of girls liking my shit or messaging me, obviously, right? But I don't base my confidence off of that. Some people base it solely off of that. And that's why they live in that cycle.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Yeah, for some people, it's hard to separate an actual valuable metric that you're using to grow your audience versus a like count just for your own personal satisfaction, because it's different when you're using it for your own fulfillment or satisfaction versus metrics that actually matter, which are not likes, but and not reach either, but engaged clicks, which is like how many valuable comments did you receive, how many website clicks, how many saves or shares. I think those are metrics that are more important than
Let's
a
not
like
even get into saves.
Count.
Motherfuckers don't talk about that. People don't talk about the view insights.
Yeah.
Like,
because
how many people sent your post to someone? I don't even think we can't even see that anymore, can we?
I think we can.
I haven't seen that in a while. All I see is saves and all the other stuff.
Yeah, but anyway, separating that is really hard, especially whenever like us girls are so obsessed with looks and beauty. So that's where likes matter, or where they would matter. And but it's important to make that distinction. That way social media doesn't become this toxic and addicting place.
100%. But there's I've come to respect a lot of these Instagram people, male or female, but primarily talking about females. I don't want to give too much, or I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or whatever, but I don't know, I've just been around them for a while. Like, I've been around IG models, let's say, for a while, and I've been with a few of them, and I've seen behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen what happens after the pictures are posted. I see you lose them. Like, they're in a corner and they're on their phone and they're constantly refreshing. Like, you lose them for an hour, you lose them for 2 hours, and I didn't understand that, but now I do. I get it, and I respect it. If you can capitalize off of your looks, that's you deserve respect. That's a great name, by the way.
Really? Thank you.
It is. You could have gone with tough shit or whatever, but, smart. That's what I was saying. I do respect you, and I'm not including you in these IG, thoughts that I keep talking about, because you're not in that realm. Even though you can capitalize off of that realm, there's more to you than that, obviously, right? But
yeah, I think whenever people do talk about like influencers and Instagram models and stuff like that, I don't really I feel like I'm observing from the outside because I recognize a lot of the patterns and behaviors from them too. And since I feel like I'm a little bit more experienced, not in the influencer and whatever realm, but in the entrepreneur realm, since I've been doing little businesses here and there since I was like in high school. So I feel like this is a new business that I'm venturing into, which is the influencer and modeling world.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, not as a social media person. Not the other way
around, which is literally every influencer.
Yeah,
they
which is
turn
just
into
learning.
Entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
They then, they learn. And we're on the same page on that. So how does it feel to have started your own podcast? How does it feel to be doing it solo?
It feels amazing. I wanted to initially start a podcast by myself, but I just happened to be hanging around this person a lot. He was my best friend, and so he was like, we should just start it now. And I was like, all right. And so we did. So he kind of helped me jumpstart it because I was working 7 to 7. So I was working 12 hours a day at this job whenever we started it. And he kind of pushed me to start it. But I feel like I wasn't in a place, not mentally, but tangibly, physically, I don't know. It wasn't the right time for me to start a podcast because I was working 12 hours a day.
Right.
Crazy
you felt
hours.
Like you didn't have time or energy or whatever.
Yeah. And so, but I think it all happened for a reason. I am like grateful that I had that experience with him that taught me a lot. But I feel like I was supposed to be doing something on my own all along eventually.
Yeah. There's always there's nothing wrong obviously with working with people, and having 4 brains work on one thing instead of one is always better.
Yeah.
But when the 4 are so scattered and different, that's what comes with when you're the one that starts something, you reach a point, you make it successful, then you can hire people and tell them what to do. And you can hire people and dictate the narrative you have in your head, share the vision, and make them do what they, make them do things the way you want to do. You want them done.
Then I think that's the difference between a partnership and then like starting something and having a team. So a lot of people think having a team is a lot better, but it's not a lot better if you don't know how to direct the team or if there isn't a director. I think,
or if you're someone that doesn't want to be directed.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? If you're someone that has amazing ideas and doesn't want to be directed and doesn't want to cater to someone else's vision, but again, the other side of that argument is there's value in being directed because you take elements, especially if you're young or younger, you take elements from that learned experience, you get whatever you can, keep the percentage, whatever the fuck it may be, right? Yeah. And then you do your own thing on the side.
I think it depends on the personality type. If you're better off being directed or being a director, I don't think there's anything better about either. It just depends on which kind of person you are. Some people aren't as good at generating ideas or being creative. And I think 100%. That person is needed. And then the other person is just good at like structuring and being the integrator. And so they're meant to be directed, which is okay because that person is needed also.
100%. That's, when you curate a group like that, it's a beautiful thing.
I don't think everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. I think some people are meant to just be in a certain position, and I think everyone's going to learn the hard way after trying to be an entrepreneur. When this whole entrepreneur wave kind of passes, a lot of people are going to fail and realize that it's not a bad thing to not be an entrepreneur because they fit in better elsewhere.
That topic and that conversation, if we want to get into that, that could be a 4-hour conversation, of just the bubble, the influencer bubble the entrepreneur bubble, I'm gonna hire a camera guy to follow me around my office so I look like I'm important bubble, even though I don't want to say that I'm imitating Gary Vee, I'm imitating Gary Vee bubble. Like, if we start getting into that conversation, I think, some feelings may get hurt, and it's okay though. It's okay for your feelings to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because you rather have them hurt now from someone half your age than have them hurt, 10 years down the line when your dog shit content is still getting no views. You know what I mean? Like, it's it is what it is. I mean, this is personal, but
yeah, I think I asked a lot of people to give me honest opinions on my vlog, and whenever they did, I was like, okay, I literally can't be mad because I need to know what people are really thinking, because some people are afraid to give honest opinions. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They know, like, you think you're funny, so I don't want to be the one to tell her she's not funny.
Right.
And whenever someone told me I wasn't funny, I was like, okay, I literally need this information to now take and figure out what I need to do to either change it a little bit here or just structure it better to improve.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with information, and putting unnecessary filters on the information you allow in is the problem. If you live in your bubble where you curate an image and you're not open to reality hitting you in the face. I'm so open to reality hitting me in the face because it's already been doing that, like, for so many years. You know what I mean? Like, I have my mother tells me when an episode of mine is garbage, or she's like, you don't know what you're saying. You need to think before you speak. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'm like,
that's good. She loves you.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that, because all my homies and everyone that listens, all they tell me is, yo, I love this. I get value from this. All the numbers do for me. When I see the numbers increasing, when I see the estimated or average view or whatever, that number in the middle, the viewer count, every time I see that go up, what it does for me is counterproductive. You know what I mean? It makes me realize, or it makes me get comfortable in the way I do things. And I'm like, well, why would I spend more time curating a better way to speak? Or why would I prepare better for episodes I do with guests?
Because people are already listening. Exactly.
But then I need that reality. And I have a couple of people close to me that do that. They tell me, like, hey, man, stop saying 100% after everything, Stop saying 100% when someone says something you agree with.
100%.
I've said that like 100 times in an episode, like 100%.
It's familiar now that you mention it.
Mm-hmm. So
that's hilarious. Maybe we should do that for each other's podcast. I need someone to be brutally honest so that I can, because you're right. Maybe some sort of, for YouTube, there's analytics that tell you how long each person watched for, which helps, because I'm like, okay, people clicked off at this time. It's probably boring around this part. So, right. But Anchor doesn't have that for podcasting.
There's I don't know, you can keep it in if you want. There's iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, all these platforms have their own analytics system. So the only one that tells you the watch time is iTunes. So Apple will tell you, but the thing is, their thing is in beta, so it's very inconsistent.
Okay.
But it'll tell you, like, okay, someone consumed, 4 minutes of your 6-minute episode. But they won't, it's not as in-depth as YouTube has it, obviously, because, the money on YouTube is still higher.
Yeah.
We can talk about the space as well if you want.
Yeah, and also podcasting it's not new, but it's becoming super new. With everyone on the go.
Yeah, there's definitely that FOMO wave, the same thing that happened with Bitcoin, the same thing that happened with this
Ripple, Forex.
Yeah, all of that. The social media marketing agency wave.
Oh,
like
my
it's
God.
it's happening with podcasting now.
Yeah.
People are like, man, I need to start a podcast because 2 people think I have good things to say. And if that's what it takes.
Or I get high and I like to talk a lot, so I should start a podcast, right? Yeah,
Anything,
do it.
Man.
Do
like,
it.
Do it. You know, obviously, there's no one that should tell you to not do something you
right.
like.
No, I think everyone that has interest in it should do it just so they can tell if they really want to do it or not.
Just so they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Like
if they're actually,
Mm-hmm. Because this is not easy. And I see a lot of podcast Instagram accounts that follow everyone, right? Like if you study the game a little bit, if you pay attention to, what's around you, pay attention to, I guess, even directly or indirectly who you're competing against in the space, in the attention game, you'll realize that the majority of the content is very, I don't know, like there's always elements that people lack, and you can see that. You can see they're really not about it like that.
Yeah.
Like they're not about it to that extent.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait. Well, it doesn't really matter what I think, but the more you do something, the more you realize it's not for you, and the more that you shift more towards doing something that people are actually supposed, good at, meant to be doing.
But that's a whole different conversation of like figuring out what you're good at, but also pursuing what you're remotely good at, because you're never going to find what you're truly good at. So if you're even half, even if you're like 10% good at something and you enjoy it 90% of the time, then do it.
The fact that your passion that you just receive, it's like this concept that passion is a myth, because anything that you are passionate about, you have to literally cultivate and build like a muscle. There's nothing that you're gonna see and be like, oh shit, that's for me, but it's gonna be something that you like a little bit, are kind of good at, that you have to zone in on and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna make my passion. But it doesn't just come to you. It's something that, like you said, 90% good at, and then you decide to consciously make yourself better at, so therefore you can enjoy it and master it. But it's not just something that you're gonna be 100% good at.
That's exactly right. That's well said. Because people expect that. They think their passion is going to come to them, or their passion lies in what they're comfortable doing. And that's, maybe if you're very lucky and the probability or the variables align in your favor somehow, because it could happen. A lot of people, there's a lot of bullshit content that gets a lot of views and has made a lot of people rich. So you could get lucky. Yeah. And, again, we could sit here and decipher, well, they appear dumber on camera, but they're actually smart or whatever, right? But I can tell you, I've been around people that don't have it. Like, it's not in there. It's not in there. But what they're putting out is resonating with some people that also don't have it. Like, it's just crazy to me, because you could cater to any audience and make money off of it, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, the only thing is that you wouldn't be fulfilled, which goes back to like that 90% thing that you're passionate about. It wouldn't really be something that, so they would still need to find something that they're kind of good at and make themselves be passionate about it, so they can find that 90% thing.
But even if, that's assuming they want to be fulfilled.
But who wouldn't?
People just want to make money.
True.
You know what I mean? Some people want to make money, and just so they can pull up to their high school reunion in a nice car, or human behavior is fascinating.
Yeah.
And for those listening, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
I was just going to say, for those listening, I would recommend, a few. Actually, I'm not going to say it, because I was going to plug fucking Audible, but I'm not going to do that on your thing. Sorry, I got lost in the...
And that is how he plugged fucking Audible. By initiating the plug and not finishing it.
Dude, they finally paid me, by the way. I haven't talked about
this. You want to download
this.
Audible.
I haven't talked about this. Like, Audible was holding out on the checks.
Spill the tea on Audible.
They're also not going to listen to this that far in.
They're not. Hi, Audible.
Hello, Audible. Yeah, I mean, listen, the manager that they assigned me and the company that they do business through is the one that's making the mistake. Meaning, how do I word this, right? They took their time with paying me, but I generated them a lot more money. And this isn't something I talk about of like, you know, I might have mentioned this to you a few times, but I have way more listeners than I have followers.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy
to
me.
Because podcasting is super SEO friendly podcast segments. Like
they'll go.
My OnlyFans segment with you is like the 5th link whenever you type in DeSanti. Mm-hmm. DeSanti Cardin. It's like the 5th link. So it pulls up anything, any keyword you use as a title is now searchable by the entire world.
Exactly.
So that's why I like podcasting so much, because it's accessible by everyone depending on your title. Like, that's so SEO.
It is.
SEO AF.
And let's not get into why that is. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you know, I don't mind giving out information like that, but it's I do want to like do more research on that and figure out why, because I don't know. I was kind of fucking around, but yeah.
Oh.
Going back to
I think
sorry.
The websites are just credible. So these are heavy websites. Like, for example, LinkedIn is a heavy puller, SoundCloud is a heavy puller because the website has credibility versus like an Instagram account that has no weight versus a platform like Apple Podcasts.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's 100% factual. I see a lot of the, I don't know, I see Radio Public. I see these other podcasting. They pop up too when
Pocket
you
Cast.
search some stuff. I don't get it. But I mean, you know, fair play.
Yeah,
like, you're helping
we'll use it.
The views coming in. So
thank you.
Appreciate it. I hope they're all linked, though. Some things aren't linked with Anchor. Stitcher's not linked with Anchor, I think.
Oh, really?
I don't know. It might be a manual thing. Like, the RSS feed has to be embedded, but I don't know. Like
iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio just approved Tough Luck, and it's been a month and a half. No, it's been a month.
Yeah, they take longer.
They took a long time. I wasn't expecting it to take that long. I was almost like, damn, they didn't approve my podcast. And they just did like 2 days ago, and I was really happy.
Yeah, that's a good platform. And if all the followers you have on there get emails when you upload.
Really?
Yeah, so that's something Anchor could implement.
Also, Google Podcasts. For some reason, the Yacht Club didn't get on Google Podcasts. Yeah, I don't know why, but mine did, so hey.
You already know what to do. Listen, if you have an Android, iPhone, a BlackBerry, a Motorola Razr, a Sidekick, you have access to Google, and you can listen to the podcast on Google.
Yeah.
Don't give me the excuse, or don't give her the excuse.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I don't have iTunes. I use Spotify, blah, blah, blah. No.
It's on both of those.
Google it. It's on all platforms. You shouldn't have an excuse for not tuning in.
Yeah.
Because we expect that from people. Because we're entitled to all the views.
To all of your attention.
Throughout the day.
Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to... You can end it if you want.
Okay. All right, thank you all for tuning into Tough Luck with DeSanti. I'm DeSanti, if you didn't know that, and we're available on literally every streaming platform. So is TheFlexCoach. You can type in TheFlexCoach on Google, and you will find it. There's no excuses to not find any of our podcasts because we're so SEO friendly. If you type in TheFlexCoach, it'll come up. If you type in tough luck with Desanti, and it'll come up. Like,
I almost said
all
tough
the
love.
front page. Huh? Tough
I
luck.
almost said tough love, but yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut your
luck rhymes with
promo
fuck.
off. Yes.
All over the first page of Google, so there's no excuses to not find either of our podcasts. Okay. Peace out, everyone. Hit subscribe, hit like, share with a friend. All right.
Or else
Thank
you're
you.
a bitch.
Who? Oh, or else. Oh, that was a threat. Formal threat from the Flex Coach. Okay, bye.